the glory days. You remember what those are? Or if you're old enough, I should say, to have glory days. If you're young enough, you're living in them. But if you're old enough to have glory days, what were those like? Were they filled with fun and adventure? Were they maybe filled with some parties? Maybe some just wild nights with the boys, town out or a night out in town with the girls, something that you can remember doing, whether it was one thing or it was a lot of things, in our youth. We live what's called the glory days. I came home from work today, and there was a song by Bruce Springsteen playing called "Glory Days" by and whenever I was listening to the song, the lyrics kind of stuck out to me, right? And in verse 1, it talks about a guy who remembers his friend who used to play baseball, and that he could throw that speedball by you, make you look like a fool. And in the end of the verse, he ends up running into his buddy walking in and out of a bar. And when he runs into his friend, they get to chatting, and his friend starts talking about the glory days, right? So we can assume that he probably talked about baseball, he talked about high school, and then in verse 2, it goes on to talk about how there was a girl who lived up the block, and that back in school she could turn all the boys' heads. Sometimes on a Friday night, I'll stop by and have a few drinks. And that part talked about how something in the past she used to do, and now he stops at her place on Fridays, because later in that verse, it talks about how her husband that she has kids with, she's divorced from, and that when they sit around talking about the old times, she says she feels like crying, she starts laughing and starts thinking about glory days. And then, even verse 3, it talks about the singer himself. He's going to go down to the well tonight, as it says, so he's going to go to the bar. And it even says, I'm going to drink till I get my fill, and I hope when I get old I don't sit around thinking about it, but I probably will. And it's funny when we think about glory days. And then in Isaiah 43, verses 18 and 19, scripture tells us, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness, and it streams in the wasteland. And these are words that God was speaking to Isaiah, that he wrote down. And I love this scripture because so much of our time that we spend, especially by ourselves sometimes, or even talking to friends, we're always reminiscing on the past. We're always talking about what it was like to do all these things, yet we don't talk about what is still to come, what good there is left to still be doing. Whether you're married or not, whether you have kids or not, whether you're in a new job or not, there's always something brand new to be doing, and God's always working, just like it says in scripture. Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. I can remember being younger and listening to adults talk about the glory days, and one of the high school teachers I had even once told us, you're gonna wish you were back here one day, and you're gonna think about these days. And yeah, sometimes I do wish I was back, because I didn't want to grow up, really. But I also just knew that he was being serious, because I used to listen to adults talk about it. But just like God told this to the Israelites because they weren't listening and they were dwelling on the past, God reminds us in scripture too that we can't be like them, which we are, because we're human, right? But we need to let go, myself included, let go of the things that used to be, because as much as we don't like it, time continues on, and we're gonna change. We're going to have things that are going to be different. Nothing ever stays the same. And if it did, man, we would be in a much worse situation than what we find ourselves in right now. So, whatever it is, let it go. Me too. I'm speaking to myself. Let it go. Because when we let go of the former things and we don't dwell on the past, we get to see the new things that God is doing. We get to experience His goodness. We get to dwell and live in what He's working in, because He's always working. He works yesterday, He works today, He works tomorrow. So let's not dwell on the past and forget those former things, because with God, all things are new. Stay blessed, my friends.